Rights Radio 101.1 FM. Good morning once again. It's 9 minutes past 10 o'clock. My name is Ruth Usman, and yes, Pro Bono Chambers comes your way weekdays where we give you an opportunity to interact with our lawyers or lawyer, as the case may be, depending on whatever question you may have for them in any legal matter at all. We provide free legal advice for you on Pro Bono Chambers. That's what happens every day here on the program. Well, as always, we like to take on a focus like we started out yesterday. However, let me introduce our in-house barrister to you. Good morning to you, Barrister Dana.
Good morning, Ruth.
All right. So she's here today again, and we will continue where we left off yesterday. It was an interesting and more of a counseling session yesterday on the program. I don't know about you, but we talked about drug abuse.
Yeah.
Yes, how it all starts. So many things. But she'll be giving us a little recap on what we discussed, and then of course take it from there to continue from where she did say she would continue today. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ruth. Yesterday we looked at drug abuse, the meaning of drug abuse, not only limiting it to the intake of chemical substances, but to any other substances that in our society can be made readily available for our purchase and consumption. We however pinpointed that it just any form of substance that could alter the body system,
whether positively or
negatively. We'd also emphasize that the abuse is not limited to the excessive intake, but also taking less than what the medical experts had prescribed for you. We, however, refer that certain of certain drugs have been legally approved for consumption. When we talk about drug abuse, it's not just the hard drugs that were not legally approved for consumption, but for some drugs that have been legally approved for consumption with intended medical purposes, but persons have decided to excessively take them for other purposes other than the intended medical purposes. We also advised ourselves, we also advised parents out there to look out for their children, because the victims of drug abuse these days, especially in our generation, had been the youths who are prone to social vices, associated with criminal acts or criminal activities in the state. We had also pinpointed that most of these youths have been the persons who are mostly incarcerated in the prisons these days due to the intake of all these drugs or these illicit drugs, as the case may be. We, however, talked about the necessary agencies also being part of the persons fighting against drug abuse. In pointing out the remedies, we listed out certain remedies that is available for us to make sure that drug abuse is frowned at in the society and fought against in the society. I remember yesterday we also advise ourselves, including you, Ruth,
okay,
to look out for those people who sell them in our communities, in our society, and make sure that minors are not engaged in the consumption of these things, because when we fight it from the root, it doesn't get to the top to affect the entire society. So that was what we discussed yesterday, and in continuation we are talking about laws and penalties for such drug crimes in Nigeria today.
So today we will go very legal.
Yes, we will.
All right then. So what laws do we have on drug-related crimes?
All laws that are applicable to the justice criminal system in Nigeria, and such laws like the Administration of Criminal Justice Acts. We have such laws like the rules of courts or the existing acts, even the Child Rights Act. We have such laws like the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act, which is the major act that borders strictly on this issue of drug abuse. However, Nigeria had adopted law enforcement approach to respond to the challenges of drug trafficking, production, use, and they have enacted most of these laws to make sure that these issues that concern anti-drug, the laws would concern the anti-drug and anti-crime matters. So such matters that are related to drug abuse have also been curbed with the existence of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act. Now, this act was established to enforce these laws against cultivation, processing, sale, trafficking, and the use of hard drugs, to empower the agency to also investigate persons who are suspected to be persons dealing with drugs and such related matters. The National Drug Law Enforcement Act had criminalized every activity that is related or connected to the production, processing, distribution, sale, use, and consumption of illicit drugs. So it's not just related to the consumption alone. So even if you're producing,
if you're growing it, it covers all that. If you're caught,
all that,
wow.
Yeah. So, or any such activity related to drug abuse, any such activity at all. However, in the NDLA Act, the sanctions that are provided, ranges from, for such offenses, ranges from 5 to 25 years imprisonment.
Wow.
If and seizure of properties that is acquired through such dealings.
Okay.
And the properties or assets are, they are referred to the federal government for seizure. When the penalties for such offenses related to drug are pronounced, it should not exceed the period of 25 years, and it cannot be limited, below the period of 5 years. It should not exceed 25 years. So, penalty for exportation of narcotic drugs or other related drugs, it's the period of 5 years with no option of fine. So if you intend to export, and you don't even succeed exporting, you're still going to be liable for the.
So don't think you're not the owner. Someone sent you on that errand to take it to another state or country.
So even if you don't succeed, you're still going to bear such penalty because it's an intention to commit the crime. Now, the only alternative to the term of imprisonment is where a minor is involved in such drug dealing. So of course, when it's a minor, you're less than 18. However, the juvenile courts have to see that the matter is handled within the range of the minor, and usually such persons are referred to rehabilitation homes, because the essence of punishing the minor, so to say, because it's for rehabilitation sake, for correction sake, so not to punish outrightly though. So they want to correct such person. Now, a person who engages in management, organization, or financing such dealings would be liable to 15 to 25 years imprisonment, as the case may be. And then apart from just pronouncing the term of imprisonment by the Federal High Court, where it's the Federal High Court that handles such matters that are related to drug dealings. Apart from just the pronouncement of the term of imprisonment, which is between 5 to 25 years imprisonment or life imprisonment.
Okay, it gets to life imprisonment. Because I wanted to ask, is there anything like a death sentence or?
It's life imprisonment for drug abuse.
Because it has ended the lives of many people. So it could come under murder, like a murder case.
No. Drug abuse is drug abuse.
That's me just going ahead of myself. Okay. Yeah, but then it is such a serious crime.
Yes, it is. It's a very serious crime. And then apart from the pronouncement of the terms of imprisonment, the courts might also give an order for such persons who are offenders to undergo certain measures like treatments, education, social integration, or rehabilitation, as the case may be. But
that's
that
for
does
those
not alter for the offenders.
Okay.
The court might give an order might give an order for such person to go through these measures, but that does not, it's not an option for the term of imprisonment for such persons who are offenders. So if you're an offender and a term of imprisonment has been pronounced on you, it doesn't mean that you're not going to serve them if the court gives an order for you to go through any of these measures. Now, the essence of the measures is not for it to be an option. It's not for it to be like a rehab facility other than imprisonment. It's for such person not to drive back to drug dependency.
Okay, is that especially for those who are drug addicts?
Exactly, yeah. So not to drive back to it out of the frustration they might likely experience.
But sometimes these things have a way of thriving even in, in the prisons. Yeah. They still have a way that they, take it round, traffic it, if you know who and all that. Well, at least from what I see in the movies, and I want to believe
the movies is different
in a
from
large
what
extent.
Really happens, in real life, the prison.
No, you think it's not possible? I mean, for them to act many of these things we see in movies, and we say movies, except for some sci-fi things. Outside of that, there are mainly things that really do happen.
Yes, it's very possible. But then the prison facilities, I'm very sure, have enough security to make sure that such things are not driven. And if persons who do that are caught, they are also going to be charged with the penalties for such offenses. So if it's brought within the prison facility, for consumption, especially for addicts who can't do without them, they are also going to be taken back and charged further, because that you have committed a crime, and then sent to the prison, it does not mean you can continue with such, criminal acts. So if you're caught doing another one there, then
they increase your sentence. Nice. Okay.
So it doesn't just save you from committing further offenses or being free when you commit further offenses. Now we need to understand that exploitation and aiding of or attempting to exploit is also an offense. So even if it's successful or not, if you remember I said so, it doesn't mean that you're exempted from the pronouncement.
So whatever activity at all you are involved with that has anything to do with the entire process, from manufacturing or growing to transportation to whatever kind of activity, delivery process,
just connected to your drug abuse.
That's even when you don't, whether you take it or not.
Drugs. It's you have the penalties as provided for in the act.
Okay.
So if a person is caught transporting such drugs across the border, like to other countries, if you're caught in other countries, you're going to serve the punishment of such country and also ours. So the term of ours is 5 years with no option of fine, and you're not serving this term because because of anything other than the fact that you brought disrepute to the country. So because you are being condemned elsewhere for carrying this illicit drugs doesn't exempt you from serving
I kind of like that, really.
Down here.
Double face punishment. And God help you, the one obtainable in the other country is more than what you have in your own country.
Really, certain countries across the world goes for that to sentence them to deaths, other than the life imprisonment or terms imprisonment. However, there's been a debate that our laws should be reviewed, especially as it concerns drug abuse or drug trafficking, because it feels like the provisions or the penalties stated are not stiff enough, so persons still go on committing them, especially young persons. So if it's more stiffened, maybe the years increase, or more punishment or a higher punishment prescribed, the acts might reduce. So there's still a debate on that to review the penalties for such offenses.
All right. If you're just joining us, it's Pro Bono Chambers on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. Continuing our conversation from yesterday with focus on drug abuse, and we are seeing, what the law says, especially as is obtainable in Nigeria for any drug crimes. We have to go on a quick commercial break at this point. We'll be right back. Do stay with us.
It's about that time. This is Human Rights Radio 101.1. Redefining broadcasting.
Feature ọ bụ ife eji esi nri ọ bụ akwa na akpụkpọ ụkwụ ka ọ bụ akpa ụmụ gị ji eje akwụkwọ na ife iji achọ mma gbalụbịa Halibis Mall isi ụlọ ngwaahịa anyị dị na +660 Cadastral Zone B1 Franca Febua Crescent Zone E Apo Legislative Quarters Gudu District Abuja. Anyị nwekwara ụlọ ngwaahịa anyị ọzọ na number 1 Medical Center Road Maraba Abuja. Nke ikpeazụ bụ na number 21 Sariki Meizabo Road opposite FMC